Banned YouTuber Sneako recently went on Adam22's podcast, and the exchange they had about God and religion blew my mind. Now, if you didn't know who Sneako is, he is a YouTuber with over 1 million subscribers that runs in a lot of the red pill spaces. Think Andrew Tate, Fresh and Fit. And as with many creators in this red pill men's rights space, a lot of them become more and more conservative with their values, leading to some natural overlap with the curiosity about religion and faith. And so when Sneako pressed Adam22 about his professed atheism, what he heard in response surely wasn't something that he expected. Now, believe it or not, I've actually had my personal run-ins with Adam22 about his views on religion. But I was shocked to find myself agreeing with Adam22 during this part of the interview. So in this video, I'll be reacting to Adam22 and Sneako's exchange about God, where I think Adam22 completely nails it, and sharing the time me and him had a confrontation over the internet.
Ruslan.
Shout out to whoever sent this to me on Instagram. This was a doozy of an interview to watch. I got through most of it and it was fascinating. Very, let's say RNC-17 rated, so I don't recommend you watch it. But this part of the interview really stood out to me. I wanted to highlight it. And then towards the end of this video, I'm gonna give you guys the backstory of the time me and Adam22 briefly went at it on Twitter. But I gotta make sure you guys know, heads up, this is going to be explicit, so...
Hide your kids, hide your wife.
Explicit.
22 makes that's really interesting. So they're talking about proving God, not proving God, experience of having a baby. Does that not prove that God is real to Adam22? And so listen to this back and forth.
Well, you can't see it, and you're talking about you can't observe God. You can't observe that feeling either.
If I was going to believe in God, I would need a reason, right? Like, especially a specific religion, like Christianity. Like, the idea of believing in it.
The way he says Christianity, you can tell this man is not a fan of Christianity, especially Christianity.
God is one thing. The idea of believing in this specific God based on this book, of which its origin seems very dubious to me. How did he come to that conclusion? Adam22, how did you come to that conclusion? Dubious? The origin of this book seems very dubious. Sounds like some fake news, bud. But anyway, let's keep going. Let's get to the part where I really do agree with him. A real problem with it.
Maybe you don't have to believe in a specific religion, but the idea of God, I think, is good to follow.
See, this is the degradation of what it actually means to be religious, because...
Woo! Okay, did you guys catch that? He said this is the degradation of what it means to be religious. Because Sneako hits back and says, well, you don't have to follow any specific religion. And Adam pushes back and says, no, this is the issue with people being pseudo-religious. This is the issue with people being spiritual but not religious. Here's the crux of the issue, right? So even though he's agitated about Christianity, he's also agitated about Sneako's desire to want to be spiritual without any of the implication of having to be submitted and under the authority of God. It's like you want the benefits of being religious without any of the submission and any of the responsibility of being religious. It's a very interesting point that Sneako makes, and Adam pushes back. Let me pull this back one more time. Listen to this.
The idea of God, I think, is good to follow.
See, this is the degradation of what it actually means to be religious. Because when my mom, I was talking to my mom recently, and I asked her, when you were a kid...
Adam's mom is apparently a Christian still, or he grew up Christian, which I think where some of his kind of disdain for religion comes from. But listen to what he says. He asked his mom, when you were a kid,
did it mean to be religious? And she said that if you didn't believe in heaven and hell, that nobody would have considered you a Christian. Yeah. If you didn't believe that the Bible was the direct word of God, then there's no way that anybody would have considered you a Christian or religious. These days...
Okay, so his mom says, if you don't believe these things, there's no way anybody would have considered you religious. So what is she saying? It sounds like she's saying, if you don't believe in the essentials of this Christian faith, people didn't take you seriously. Interesting. So listen to what he says next.
People give themselves credit for being religious just by saying, I believe in God. Yeah, like I'm the kind of person that believes in God, etc. And they spend no time reading the Bible or familiarizing themselves with these texts, or they're going to church or trying to familiarize themselves with how God would want them to live their life or whatever. They just say they're religious and then they just move on with it.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's stupid. It's just such a surface level engagement with something that's supposed to, if God is real, it should be like the most important thing in your life.
I find myself agreeing with Adam22. If God is real, it should be the most important thing in your life? What? Let's pull it back.
Surface level engagement with something that's supposed to, if God is real, it should be like the most important thing in your life.
Wow. Me and Adam 22 agree on if God is real, it should be the most important thing in your life. How? What? Listen to what he says next.
You should spend all...
Sneako has nothing to say here.
I'm thinking, if I believed that God was real, I would spend all my time trying to get closer to knowing exactly what God wanted for me.
Hey, Adam. Yep. Uh-huh. Keep going.
That seems like a waste of time.
And there's Sneako showing his hand. That sounds like a waste of time. So then do you really believe there's a God? If you have no desire to explore what that means practically? What are the implications of this? Wow. So then God and religion just becomes a conservative accessory. You just kind of pick it up and you throw it on like a cool baseball hat or some fun sunglasses. It's just an accessory. It doesn't really mean anything. It has no real implications besides, hey, well, at least I'm against the demonic people on Epstein Island. I'm against those guys, but sounds like a waste of time to actually pursue if there is truth. Wow.
If there was a supernatural being that was controlling the universe?
Or you should understand that life is the way it is and it's just better to follow that. You don't need to constantly seek it because that's going to drive a lot of people insane.
No, Sneako. No. Adam's right. I've never thought in my life I would be saying Adam 22 is right. If there's a supernatural force that created the universe, willed the universe into existence, is active, is omnipresent, yes, we should spend our time seeking that out.
If there was a God, it would be the most fascinating thing in the whole world. If there was even a hint of evidence of him existing.
There's more than a hint, bud. There's more than a hint. There's more than a hint. This is crazy. This is crazy sauce. Adam 22, Google Bart Ehrman and what he believes about the existence of Jesus being a real person. Google Bart Ehrman, and he's an atheist, and figure that out. Because you blow your mind. That if you actually go down and you look at what atheist scholars say, they all believe that Jesus existed, Jesus walked, Jesus rose, and the disciples of Jesus all believed he literally rose to the point where they were all willing to die brutal, awful deaths as martyrs. So Adam's, you're right, but it's actually better than you think.
It would be the most insane thing in the world. Instead, like religious studies are like the most boring thing in the world because there's nothing to sink your teeth into.
That's because you've taken trash religious studies. I can send you some Michael Heiser clips. I can send you some Dr. Michael Brown stuff. I can send you some stuff from Frank Turek. I can send you Mike Winger. I can send you all kinds of stuff that's interesting. Or is it maybe that you've suppressed the reality as Romans 1 echoes that there is a God, but you've kind of created your own versions of what isn't a deity based on how you live your life. I mean, maybe that could also be the case. I don't know.
Have you ever met the people that watch Plug Talk?
And then, ladies and gentlemen, Sneako changes the conversation to Adam 22's adult show. Yes. I don't know what Sneako believes. I don't know if Sneako is a theist, a deist, an atheist dressed as a deist. I don't know where he's at. If he just has a very loose view of God as an idea, like Andrew Tate, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what Sneako believes exactly. What I do know is that here Adam 22 is completely right. And the fact that he changed the conversation and didn't want to press into it as Adam 22 was pressing him on this issue, I found it extremely, extremely fascinating. And by the way, I've been trying to reach out to Sneako and to have the conversation with him, to have some of these conversations with him. I've DM'd him a couple times, haven't heard back. In terms of Adam 22, a couple years ago, I did a video reacting to his conversation with Vlad TV and how he basically came out and he says that he thinks all religion is BS. And I thought that was outlandish. I thought the fact that he knew not a whole lot about religion and how we get to the apologetic side and the resurrection side, I said it would be like me saying that BMX and the world he comes from is BS without having been read or studied on it in any way, shape, or form. And so me and him actually went back and forth on Twitter. He kind of dismissed what I was trying to say. And then that got me a copyright strike from Vlad, who's a complete cornball. And if you want to hear about that entire exchange, again, this is you get to time travel back in time, see that exchange between me, Vlad, and how he tried to give me a copyright strike and take the video down because he didn't like anybody using his content as I reacted to one of their clips. This is years ago. I'll pin that over here for you to check out. You could also check out our New Blessed God Studios channel, and I'll see you over there. Peace.